go. And wait for it. Can I be heard? Yes, I can be heard. Can you guys be heard?
Can we be heard?
Yes, you can be heard. So welcome everyone to the Geek Battle Show here on the Extreme Improv Extremes YouTube channel, as well as Geek Battle YouTube channel. Go to www.youtube.com/@geekbattle. Set your subscribe buttons to stun, and with this we're going to have a jolly old geek time, talking about some geeky stuff, playing some geeky games, and yeah, we're going to start off with our introductions round. My name is David Postansky, but all of the others are going to give a random geek fact in the quest for a bonus point. So Nick, say hello to the people and give us a random geek fact.
Hello people, my name is Nick Stevens, I'm from Virginia, still, and my random geek fact for this week is, my father was the associate producer on the movie The Godfather. Not geeky, but still cool.
Wait, your father was an associate producer on The Godfather?
Yes, sir.
Well, Nick, let's do lunch. You know, bring the family round. Why not? So.
Well, it would be really hard to bring my father around, unless like he would be this ghost.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I didn't know that. But what the important thing is, get me connected to Hollywood is what I was going for there before it suddenly took a turn I didn't expect. Marty, you always give us a turn I don't expect. Say hello to the people.
Hi, this is Marty in Atlanta, Georgia, and I just want to say that my dad has executive produced absolutely nothing except for me and my sister. And my geek fact is that Thundar the Barbarian, that cartoon of oldie timey days, that they really should update or do a movie version of, because I think it would be cool. The reason that cartoon was so cool is because it was designed by Jack Kirby, and I have a little more specific insight. Well, not really. But I met when I lived in Seattle. I met a man named Ted Peterson, and he wrote a lot of cartoons between in the 80s. You can go on to IMDb and read his credit. He wrote G.I. Joe, Flash Gordon, Thundar, some old Aquaman cartoons and stuff. And he told me, he would sit and tell me stories. I would say, hey, what about Jack Kirby on Thundar? Oh yeah, he would come around and we would talk about stuff, and so it was just really cool.
Marty, I'm going to give you a bonus point, but I'll also give the confession that Nick put a comment in the chat here, and it was more interesting than what you were saying, so I kind of trailed off halfway through. Now,
hey, I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse.
Gerald, say hello to the people and give us a random geek fact, please.
Hello, everybody. And since Cap does not have his Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles sign up, I think it's okay to do this one, because hopefully he hasn't done it before. But did you know that Chuck Lorre, the writer and creator of Big Bang Theory, co-wrote the animated series, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles animated series theme song?
Wait, which theme song?
The 1987 theme song.
That is definitely worth a bonus point.
You can actually hear his voice on some of the pieces. I found that from watching on Netflix the Toys That Made Us or something like that. I can't remember the name of it.
I've seen that show. It's a good show.
Yep.
That's why they say Cowabunga-zinga.
Cowabunga-zinga. Yeah, that's good. Oh, Marty, bonus point. That was good. Right, okay. Capelthave, say hello to the people and give us a random geek fact.
Hail from the land of leopards, elephants, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's me, Captain Dave. I thought I would go 10 minutes, but they're back. My geek fact for today is kind of a weird one. So in 2016, YouTube channel called Imaginary Access, which is a big channel, actually settled a score between Batman versus Superman stories. He counted all the Batman versus Superman stories. Strictly speaking, DC has to be done by them specifically, and he settled the score. That's actually who won. So there was 45 fights, and Superman won 14 times, Batman 3 times, and the other 28 times it was inconclusive or drastically unfair. There are some rules to all the battles that he counted. Specifically, he didn't count the ones where Superman just steamrolled all the Justice League. He didn't count that. But these are the scores. So Batman, yeah, he only won 3 times.
Wow, I'm going to give a bonus point to that. I do have another confession. I was letting Tim into the meeting during your fact, and I was too distracted reading Tim's name. But still appreciate the effort there. Now, Tim, are you with us?
I am with you in vocal, but not video right now.
Okay, well, do you have a random geek fact to give us on this introductions round?
Yes, did you know that there's an Alderaan spaceport that exists in the Deep Space Nine Star Trek universe?
I did not know that.
Yeah. So it might not exist in Star Wars anymore, but it still does in Star Trek.
Wow. How about that? Universes collide.
That's actually super cool.
Yeah.
Guys.
Yeah, I saw it. I was rewatching Deep Space Nine for the umpteenth time. And season 1 had a list of the spaces and areas, spaceports that a particular criminal had been to, and Alderaan Spaceport was listed in episode 5.
Well, there you go.
Well, I have a geek confession to make.
Okay.
I've tried to watch Deep Space Nine several times, and I just can't do it. I really, really tried.
I thought you were going to be like, I've tried to watch it several times, I just can't work out the VHS player, it's terrible.
No, I'm like, it's on my TV, like it's on my like Netflix queue and stuff, and I don't know.
Like, if you tried and it wasn't appealing?
Yeah.
Oh,
there are some things that, if you don't catch it when it first comes out, it kind of loses something if you try to go back and watch it. Because I missed Buffy the Vampire Slayer when it first came around, and I went back and tried to watch it, and I just did not get it.
I rewatched Buffy 10 times.
Wow.
Yeah,
Really?
but I feel like some things, if you don't watch it when it first comes out, don't try later.
Gosh, I don't know. Got anyone else give if there's something like that for you guys? That's an interesting point that we can come on. Like, I didn't see Game of Thrones, but I'm sure if I did, like, I saw the first season, I didn't get into it. But if I watch it now, I'm sure like I'll either enjoy it or not. But I don't know what else is sort of like of the time that if you don't watch it.
So, like, I watched Game of Thrones on the time, and I really enjoyed it, except for the last season, because it's garbage.
Yeah, it's trash you can't pick up, too.
But I rewatched it, and I've been like, you know what? It's a fun rewatch.
I think some things you can go back to, even if they're like different time periods, it still works. Like, I'm thinking about Friends and Seinfeld, they're still popular in a way.
Yeah,
I'm not sure about Seinfeld, but Friends is still...
And I've seen Seinfeld 1,000 times.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if you didn't watch it when it originally ran, and you tried to watch it now for the first time, you might not get the appeal of when it was originally like.
Okay, so what do you think it is about Buffy that doesn't work at a later date?
Oh, because I have an opinion on this. Which
Do you,
is,
Nick? What?
Wow, Marty. Sorry. Right now with Buffy, there's so many things that could be solved if somebody had a fucking smartphone.
Smartphone. Well, do you know, a smartphone, that kind of ruins all films. That's like something that they're still trying to work out. It is the thing that ruins most films. Like, most films
like
where someone's in danger, there is a solution via a phone.
Yeah,
But-
or like anything with a romantic comedy, too. They're like, well, if they just called each other on the phone, it would probably have been a lot less problematic, you know?
Yeah.
I
Like,
mean,
oh, you're
you
flying.
you can still do the miscommunication thing. I mean, the whole of Shakespeare's most plays are miscommunication between the characters. You can still work around it, but I get that right now we have so
Yeah, but
many
they
apps for
didn't
so
have
many
cell
things.
phones in Shakespeare.
That's true.
Well, and they
But I'm
wouldn't.
saying, like, GPS tracking and all that stuff, that's kind of like, oh no, where is he? Ah, we can just track him on the phone.
They would not. They wouldn't have used it anyway to talk. They would have just texted with each other.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, but Marty, what is it specifically about Buffy that you felt like, this just isn't working for you because you're not of the
Well,
time?
I don't think it's specifically Buffy. I've tried to watch other older shows that I missed the first time around, and just didn't.
But do you think you would have liked them if you'd seen them then?
I think so. Like X-Files. I never watched X-Files when it first came out.
Okay, so
And
that's...
then I tried,
yeah, go ahead.
I tried to watch it later, and it just doesn't do anything for me.
I have tried to watch the X-Files a few times over, and I always find it because I was like, well, there was so much hype about this, and I try to get into it. I don't think it's terrible, but I don't quite get it. And I think what it is that it was something brand new for the time. There hadn't been anything like it, and so when you watch it, it feels like, this is just kind of average. Whereas at the time, nothing had been like that before. The interesting thing with Buffy, if I give a thought or two on it, something that from that era, 1990 shows, that moved across perhaps into the early 2000s, is it was like a time where things went from being story of the week, villain of the week, monster of the week, into more ongoing storylines that continued from week to week to week. And Buffy is a really good example of something where it's just like, here's a monster, they defeat it. Versus by the end of it, it was like, oh, well, this ends on a cliffhanger and it's going to continue on more like a serialized drama. And I think what it was is right at the turn of, like, into the year 2000, 2001, 2002, you started getting shows like 24, which was really edgy. That was one of these shows which it'd be interesting if someone watched it for the first time now. Would it have the same impact? Because there was nothing like it back then. You'd get like Heroes and Prison Break and Lost, where everything then followed suit, and it was like, well, we have to make like a huge season-long arc rather than it be Monster of the Week, something like that. And I think you go ahead if someone wants to come in.
I think 24 did have some form of Monster of the Week. Like every hour that there was a situation, Jack Bauer tended to create some sort of resolution. It may have not been like the main solution coming, but it would have been like, oh, we have a problem for this hour, and it's solved by the end of it.
Oh yeah,
So
literally every show has that, but nothing. Yeah. Nothing had. It would always be like The Simpsons. At the end of The Simpsons, they would end up making jokes about everything resets. But like in 24, in Heroes, in Lost, it would be that you'd suddenly see a flashback, or, well, not in 24 obviously, but you'd suddenly see that events from 3 weeks ago suddenly become relevant. Whereas if you watch something like early Buffy, it is literally, you could shuffle the episodes into any order and it wouldn't matter.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think another part of it too is chances are if you watched it when it was first on, you had a community of people to talk with. Whereas if you're doing it by yourself right now, you don't have that extra thing. As well as, in the good old days, you used to have a weekly show, not okay, let's knock out the first 10 episodes or this season or multiple seasons at a go as well. So
yeah, I was going to say that the first show that was appointment TV was Buffy, actually. Buffy was the first show that I would say, okay, Thursday nights from 8 to 9, I'm going to be glued in front of my TV. Even though I had a TiVo, but I'm like, you know what, I want to watch this when it airs live.
What's a TiVo?
When my friends call me.
Well, see.
Cap, did you say what's a TiVo?
Back before we even had VCR.
Yeah, here's the weird thing. A TiVo, to me, still seems like futuristic technology.
So a TiVo was
talking about appointment
technology that had sorts.
Yeah, appointment television. Back in the old days, Cap, we had to watch everything that way because it was never going to get. It might get rerun in the summer, but there were no guarantees. So you had to watch everything. And if you had two programs that you liked at the same time on two different channels, you were screwed.
Yeah, Rob Stark in Game of Thrones to use a TiVo to record some of the TV shows he used to watch. He missed.
But no, like TiVo just allows you to record one thing and watch another. As crazy as that sounds. But okay, like the first, like I can't remember probably because I was too young, but like appointment television was like Quantum Leap and Sliders and Red Dwarf and all these early shows for me. So Buffy was like super late compared to those for me.
Or like Buffy and Friends and Frasier, those shows also.
They like Friends and Fresh Prince. Again, they were early 90s, I would say, not my late 90s, and we only watched them when we were in our teens. And at that time, none of us in my friend groups didn't actually watch Friends or anything like that. So we decided, let's watch Friends all together. And we did have our small community who didn't watch Friends, and because none of us at that age haven't seen it yet.
The earliest example I can think of for me would have been Saturday morning cartoons.
Yes.
I used to get up every Saturday morning and watch, and I would always watch. They used to have these shows on each network that would preview the new cartoons that were coming out starting in the fall, and they would show that during prime time, and they would always have some wacky, like Paul Lynde or some wacky comedian host that would be like, here's what's coming to you, and you would have to choose, because like I remember one year there was on one station there was like a superhero show I liked, and then on the other station was the Planet of the Apes cartoon. Wow. And I couldn't watch both, and it was tearing me apart, Lisa.
Well, like, if we're going back to like cartoons and that, then obviously there was He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, the real Ghostbusters, Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles, because I'm in the UK.
Oh yeah.
And Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling. All the great stuff.
Did they really call it Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles?
Yeah, because Ninja, that was seen as too violent.
Not only that, they took out Michelangelo's nunchucks in the whole British airing. So basically, Mikey's not fighting with his nunchucks in the whole UK version of the cartoon.
Yeah.
Why did they see that nunchucks was bad, but swords?
Because we're in the UK, you could have a string of sausages and knock out your sister. Like there's butchers everywhere. You just get like the sausages, and you just be like this.
Okay. Speaking of sausages.
Yeah, speaking of sausages, hello Dave.
Why am I related to sausages for some reason?
I don't know, it was a good line by Cap.
All I came in on was sausages and beating your sister.
Yeah, exactly. Beat your sister with the sausage. Absolutely.
This is just slightly problematic.
I don't know what version of Ninja Turtles you guys are watching, but that just sounds weird.
Yeah. So, Dave, how are you?
I am very well. I'm very good. I am very tired, but I'm also very good.
Well, good. Now, okay, guys, we can revisit this, as I'm sure we will. But is there anything people have seen this week? Have people been catching up on Secret Invasion? Has anyone seen the Indiana Jones movie, etc., etc.? Is anything anyone wants to react to?
Dave has seen the movie.
Oh, which movie? Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones. I watched it.
That doesn't seem a good reaction.
It's not a good reaction.
Is it worse than the Crystal Skulls?
Well, let me put it this way.
Awful. How bad is it?
Well, you know this thing that people say that if Indiana Jones was taken out of Raiders of the Lost Ark, the story wouldn't change.
Yeah.
If you take Indiana Jones out of this movie, nothing changes.
Wow. Well, then they're just fulfilling a fan promise,
all it is boring. They really destroy the character of Indiana Jones. They've really beaten him down, and they really solidify that point of beating him down. And it's like you have to, like, my suspension of disbelief is all, like, for the first 3 films, my suspension of disbelief is sort of gone. It's like, okay, this is fine. But in this movie, I can't do that. It was just the
Can I
story
ask-
was. You can ask a question, Tim.
So Sean Connery's role as his father in the previous movie, could Harrison Ford also play that role in this movie, or is the structure too different?
The structuring of that is completely different. Like we know from the trailer that Shia LaBeouf's character is not in the movie altogether, and they do explain why he's not in the movie. I won't spoil it for those who haven't seen it. They do explain why. They give some half-assed explanations as to why certain characters are not in the movie. But I think the most disappointing thing was B.B. Harris. She was the most annoying character because she was doing everything better than Indiana Jones, and the movie's called Indiana Jones. We want to see Indiana Jones do these things, and yeah, I just feel like we're watching a really beaten down Indiana Jones movie. If you want to go see it, but I will not recommend it.
Wow.
See, I liked Phoebe Harris in Fleabag. I thought she played a very good, like, Deadpool-esque breaking the fourth wall character. So I was hopeful it would have been a good movie with her in it, but, maybe I'll have to check it out myself.
Cap?
The interesting point that I did show a short from IGN just a while back is that they asked Harrison Ford on a promotional thing, if he had the Dial of Destiny, what time or where would he go? And he basically answers, home. And like that, like I haven't been home in a long time. That's
Wow.
I love that. It's so Harrison Ford.
Yeah. Well,
But that joke
I would say, like,
there's that.
I
Someone go.
That joke landed better than he lands his planes, so I'm happy about that.
Hey, Tim, bonus point, only because he survived. Right, like,
Sorry.
the interesting thing is, like, I saw a clip, I don't know if it's recent or not too recent, but where they, like, an interviewer, like, Harrison Ford's great on interviews. Because there's the one where he forgets Ryan Gosling's name when they were doing, like, Blade Runner, which is great. But then there's one where someone, like, a fan goes, like, so, did Han shoot first or did Greedo shoot first? He goes, I don't care. Like, what a legend. It's like, it doesn't matter now. He's like, I'm 80, who cares?
But interesting point to add to Dave's vision of the character as well. I mean, this is older Indiana Jones, so you would probably assume that he's now going to adopt a mentor role. But so far, like with Star Wars and now with Indiana Jones, they never seem to make the hero turn into a good mentor story do well so far, which is a shame because it's an easy thing to do.
Yeah, like everyone's a bad mentor. Like when you look at like the Avengers films, like everyone was like Hawkeye girl or whatever her name was. She was like, I'm better than you, even though I'm not a soldier, right? And then like She-Hulk was like, literally, I can do this better than you. And in like even when you get stuff like Doctor Who, which is what I was going to bring this back to, Dave, specifically, when you got like Peter Capaldi as the Doctor, and this was what I was going to say, maybe a similar deal here. It's like when you get like someone that's too old to be doing all the running, it's like they'll stand there whilst someone else does all of the running for them, and it's like then the thing they need to be is like the Jedi Master giving the instruction, now do this, and they always have the answers. But they never do that. They always like, well, we need to promote the young one because they're going to be in the next movie. And so then they're like, we're going to kill off Han Solo in a minute. So, it doesn't matter how good he is. Right. Dave, you were about to say that?
I was going to say, even in this film, Indiana Jones is not the mentor role. There is no real mentor role in the entire film. Like, Phoebe Harris's character, that's how boring she was. I don't even care to remember her name. She basically does, she already has all the knowledge, she already has everything, she's already doing everything better than Indiana Jones ever could. And then really, just to sum it up, like this is the summary of the plot. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Indiana Jones finds a time machine to go back and save Hitler.
What? No, that's the wrong version of that story.
I swear to you, if you watch the film, you'll understand why I said that.
Save Hitler.
Save
Hitler.
Look, stop saying that phrase, guys. Someone's going to clip it. Someone's going to clip it. Just get just that clip where you're giving it as like a rallying like instruction. Right, Nick.
Are you sure it's not punch Hitler in the face?
Yeah.
In the style
No,
of
Doctor
Captain
Who did
America,
that.
Yeah, exactly.
Issue 1?
Doctor Who probably did the best version of what they could. Because, like, here's the thing. Whenever you get, like, a time travel thing... Now, maybe it's interesting that they actually kind of went there with it. Because it's like, well, if you get, like, these time travel things, or if you get a superhero... It's like, well, why doesn't Superman fly around the world and stop, you know, terrible tragedies and stuff like that? Why doesn't Doctor Who go back and stop World War II? And literally, Doctor Who did have an episode which was called Let's Kill Hitler. And then it was a little bit of a bait and switch, where when they literally are face-to-face, they literally just push him into, like, a side room. And then as they're doing it, and you don't see him again in the rest of the episode, he's just like, you can't do this, I'm the Fuhrer. And it's just like a one-line joke for the entire thing. And I was like, well, that's probably the smart way to tackle this, because you can't literally say, oh yeah, in Doctor Who we solved that whole World War II problem. Because you can't undo something like that, I suppose. Who was going to speak? Someone had their hand up. Marty.
I was going to say, if you want to, I think my wife wants to see Indy, so we'll probably end up going, but I don't know. I was dubious about this from the start just because of who they got to direct it, because James Mangold doesn't even really have a good movie to his name so far. I guess that's debatable among some people, but in my mind, he doesn't have a good movie. But if you want to watch Harrison Ford in some things that he is good in, that are more recent, there's the Paramount Plus series 1923, which is, I would actually watch 1883 first, and then watch 1923, which he is in. Both are good. And then he's also in this new comedy on Apple Plus called Shrinking, which I am really enjoying because it's
really good.
Comedy. And Harrison Ford, I mean, when's the last time he did comedy? And he's really quite good in it.
Yeah, well, there you go.
My favorite, one
go
of my
ahead,
favorite
Nick.
Harrison Ford moment in an interview was when he said, when did you see in the script, in the Star Wars script, as he throws it in Carbonite, when Princess Leia says, I love you, and he replies, I know. What was your reaction to seeing that in the script? And he said, I actually forgot what my line was supposed to be, and that was my ad-lib.
That's great. Iconic line. Some of the best lines end up like that.
I know.
I know. Yeah, that's just great. It's like, I know you do, but I don't know my line. But that's like probably the easiest line to ad-lib to. You just repeat it back, you know. Okay, guys, has anyone seen anything else this week? Has anyone seen... Like, I haven't seen episode 3 of Secret Invasion. Has anyone at least seen the first 2?
I only saw the first one. First two.
What did we think? Other than that, it's just kind of a bit rubbish.
I'm gonna disagree with you.
No, by all means, do. Go for it.
I think it's fantastic. I love a good spy thriller. I love a good heist movie, and that's what I feel what this show is being, like kind of a spy thriller and a heist at the same time. Reminds me a lot of Leverage. I don't know if anyone watched Leverage.
Yep.
Yeah, I
That's
used
good
to watch that.
So
No, look.
I got that vibe from it. Like
Here's my thing, right? So there's obviously the movie The Thing. There's Invasion of the Body Snatchers, like the multiple versions of it. There's even like The Faculty with like young Elijah Wood and that. There's all these things where it's like people you know who you can't trust and that. And it's not hitting any of that for me at all. It literally doesn't seem to be on like the anyone could be like the alien around us. It doesn't seem to be leaning into that in a way that I would have thought it would have.
well, we just
I think
the
Disney.
third episode.
Oh, everyone
And
spoke at once, didn't catch a word of it.
Go ahead, Tim.
It's too Disney, I think. Like, does Disney want to create something that causes that much conspiracy and like paranoia?
Oh, what? Yeah, maybe, but like, then why do it? Give us Invasion of the Body Snatchers, right? That's what I wanted, right?
Then just
He's
have to
the
watch
secret
the
agent.
Bloody Snatchers.
I will with Donald Sutherland, you know. I'll go back and watch the 1956 original. I'm not sure if that is the year it came out. Anyone else on Secret Invasion? Like, it might get good. It might get good. Anyone else on this one though?
I think that they should be really addressing the fact that, okay, you have so I've only seen a script or lines from this, but so there's 1 million Skrulls that could potentially be immigrants, you know, and you also have like half the world's population who got snapped into existence, and how the world deals with it is sort of addressed in the only series that really addresses it is Falcon and the Winter Soldier. How do these feel like they're in separate spaces? Shouldn't these forces be acting sort of together, or, you know, at the same time? I feel like these things should be addressed a little bit more instead of just in almost separate universes.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, the different...
Also, I think this...
You go ahead.
I think the Skrulls as villains are kind of mad to me now, because the last thing I remember them is from cameos from Spider-Man films, where the fake Nick Fury Skrull and the fake other character Skrull, like, choking jokes. And, I mean, they don't seem very, like, you know, mysterious, intimidating villains. They're, comic relief.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, they're just like, well, we're just people, and we just happen to be green on the inside. It isn't easy being green, as they say, you know. But
well, it did irritate me. I just decided to enjoy it for what it was, but it did irritate me that when they came out with the Captain Marvel movie, that they made the Skrulls not the villains, which is what they're supposed to be in the comics.
But I guess this kind of makes them more the villains, right?
Right, yeah. I'm seeing now where they're using that to turn them.
Right. What they're doing with this show is they're unscrewing up what they're cleaning up their mess that they made with Captain Marvel. If that makes sense. Because I believe that, like, I love Talos, who's a good Skrull, quote unquote. And I like that he's kind of like defecting the Skrull. But then I also don't like that they made them not the villains. So I'm torn. I'm of two minds, as the kids say.
Yes. Okay. Any other thoughts on Secret Invasion? Are we going into the spoilers? Like, it's interesting. They did have like an interesting thing happen towards the end of the second episode that I saw. Oh, we lost someone.
I don't technically care, but Dave is taking off his headphones.
All right. Well, okay. So, like, this is no spoil. This isn't much of a spoiler at all. It's kind of like a bit boring. So, like,
don't take it off, Dave, just to be sure.
Right. So, like, well, I'm going to go into spoiler territory. But unless I misunderstood it, because I'll be honest, I was kind of tuning out of this show. But who did we lose? Did we lose Marty entirely? Oh, we did. He said his internet's a bit spotty. But it was said, like, in Captain America Winter Soldier, Nick Fury was like, oh, I've been chucked out by my wife. And Captain America was like, I didn't know you were married. And obviously he wasn't. And then suddenly he's like, he is married, sort of thing. And it's like, well, yeah, like, literally, unless I misunderstood that.
So, in the comics, he is actually married to the same character who he's married to in the show.
Mm.
And that is?
His wife, Mrs. Fury. Yeah.
No, but turns out that the person he's married to is in fact a Skrull.
Oh yes,
And
that's Jesus. I'd actually blocked that out. I'd forgot that detail. I watched this like 3 days ago. Right, yeah, he's married to a Skrull. And it's just like, is this the first interspecies thing that we've got
Well,
in the MCU?
Or the other thing is does it...
Like, next up, we're going to have like a parallel universe. Steve Rogers is married to his shield. And he's just like dry humping it at the side.
Talking about Steve Rogers, did you hear that I guess it's actually occurring and it's only for about a month, but there is Rogers the Musical. I don't know if it's in Disneyland or Disney World.
What, based on that?
I have a friend who wants me to go out there and see it with.
What movie was that in where they showed that?
Hawkeye.
Oh my god, but that musical would look terrible, genuinely. And I thought that was the point. I could do this all day. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah, I think they're doing that.
There's actually a teaser that you can find.
They're doing it
Wow.
in the States, but they're not doing it here.
And they're doing it in the wrong coast. I have to fly to California to go see it. I'm gonna do it anyway, but I have to fly to fucking California.
Like,
I
if
mean,
Disney are going to start doing musicals based on their movies, I want Alien vs Predator the musical, because literally they own that now. They own Alien vs Predator.
Get away from her, you bitch! You
Yeah.
bitch! You bitch!
So,
You bitch!
I like to do it with my friends to see if I'm on the right track, right? A
Wow.
couple years ago, Disney bought Fox Movie Studios, right?
Yeah.
Fox Movies has a wonderful movie called Rocky Horror Picture Show. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Of course.
If Frankenfurter from Rocky Horror is in fact a princess in Disney, is that not
Oh no!
Yes. Make it so.
Yes.
I want to see
Right.
that on the
Is that not
parades
the
at
funniest thing in the
Disneyland.
world? Am I the
I'll
only
speak
one
to my
that
management.
totally like put on the
Oh my
dots
god! Like,
together?
but genuinely, imagine like as the parade goes around like Disneyland, everyone starts doing the time warp. That would be awesome.
Holy shit! I would pay money to see that.
Yeah.
That's something I'm going to take to work tomorrow.
And Dave is like.
Oh, we've got some comments that I forgot to. I always forget to check in on the comments. So I think it's interesting that they deleted the original group of Doctor Who. Probably. What do you mean? Like, so that the original Doctor wasn't the Doctor now, apparently. But also, do you think it's because Bob Iger is back in charge that they've done a Disney musical? Who knows? I don't know. Anyone with a view on that?
Nothing on the Bob Iger, but I do have something on the Doctor Who thing. But Cap, go.
With the Bob Iger thing, I would say like I don't know what they were. I think they were mostly thinking about management. I think he was a much better management than Chapek. But creatively, though, at the end of his run, he was making bad movies in a sense. I would say. But
Well, and I think the other thing
Yeah,
is
go.
too that I think Iger basically has come in and he looks like the quote unquote savior, but I mean basically I think what he did is he let Chapin or whoever it was before just sort of take all the crap and deal with that, and then he's like, I'm back, it's all going to be fixed now, because the other guy was the one that had to do all the cuts and stuff and really got hit by around COVID, so like they had a lot of service questions and stuff. I don't know if it's improved, but I know a couple people that went and they said that it did not have that same sort of Disney feel, the sort of white glove touch and stuff at the parks. So, I don't know.
That's legit. I've been going to Disney forever, and I noticed it also. However, I do believe that the reason why Chapek is back, Iger is back, is because of the political situation in Florida more than anything. But that's a full discussion for another show that I'm not going to get involved in because I don't want to get involved with you. I don't want to start debating U.S. politics on a Geek podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, fair play.
So
anyway,
Dave,
look, but
Dave had something to say.
no, go ahead. Oh yeah, Dave, Doctor Who.
Yeah, so Doctor Who thing is when they say about the fact that William Hartnell is no longer the first Doctor and this Ruth character is. I do not accept that, and I never will accept that.
Yeah.
And I remember having a debate with someone about this, in that they were like, oh, but it explains the brain of Morbius, all the faces in the screen. And I asked a simple question to this person, and I went, okay, who is Morbius?
And what'd they say?
They couldn't answer. They really couldn't answer. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, Morbius was the other Time Lord. Don't forget there were 2 Time Lords attached to the machine. So they were Morbius's faces.
No, they weren't. Sorry, Dave. I'm so sorry about this.
I know they were faces of the production team. I know that.
No, I get that. Unfortunately, in the episode in the recent season where they showed like all of the past Doctors, they suddenly showed the Morbius faces again. Why would they just suddenly be showing some other Time Lord?
Because there were 2 Time Lords.
Why would they be showing that
machine.
other Time Lord then?
Because Chris Chibnall is a fool and a charlatan and
Yeah,
a fake.
I know, but he made it canon. Okay, so here's a question. Like, we've had in geek stuff over the last few years, where movies and stuff are just saying, well, look, we liked what we started with. We're just going to undo some of this later stuff and just go back to there. Like, the obvious one is the Halloween films. They suddenly said, we're going to erase everything after the very first one. Literally, when they did Halloween H2O, like back in 1998, they did the same thing then, where they're like, we're going to pay attention to Halloween 1 and 2, and we're going to ignore the rest. And then literally in 2018, they were like, we're going to ignore even that, and we're just going to go back to the very first one. It didn't happen, but they said that they were going to do the same with Alien, where they were going to ignore Alien 3, and so suddenly, what's his name, Michael Biehn would be back alive in that, and that didn't get made. But there's quite a few examples, like Terminator Dark Fate says, we're ignoring Terminator 3 onwards, and all of these things. So at what point, like, can someone just come in and ruin a franchise like they did with Doctor Who, and then the next person just come in and say, yeah, we're ignoring that. That's decanonized. I mean, Star Wars, I think, effectively did it when they said, well, here's the legacy stuff, here's the whatever they call it. Cap had his hand up first.
So I like the fact that Dave just suddenly went that, no, I do not accept that. That is not my Doctor Who, which is exactly what David did when Masters of the Universe came out. And I feel like there are things when the old properties continue, they're so bad and drastic that we just, the fans just go, well, it's not.
Wait, hold on. Dave has a problem with the Dolph Lundgren Masters of the Universe?
No, I love the Dolph Lundgren Masters of the Universe. That is awesome. Right.
The new Netflix one done by Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
David hated it with all his heart.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I feel about the new Thundercats that they did in the early aughts.
So, Thundercats had a very interesting thing. Thundercats, after the 80s, they did a good show on 2011, which is like the TMNT 2003 one.
Wait.
Really good.
Nick, is that the one that you hate?
No. The one that Cartoon Network did a couple years ago.
The Thundercats Roar.
Oh, okay,
That
you're
was
on
an
the same page.
abomination.
You're on the same page.
Yeah, that one.
1 second. Dr. Mad Studio on YouTube says, howdy, folks. Greetings from Britain. Greetings. Give us your geek thoughts. We'll respond to it. But also, smash that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Marty is back. Dave, you were going to say?
Yeah, going back on it. Well, it's like they did explain that the whole faces in the machine thing. There was also they're going to be past incarnations, but they dropped that idea because they thought it wouldn't work. They had so many ideas in the classic series that they thought would work, but they never followed through on it. You know, they had the thought that Colin Baker's Doctor has a secret, but we never got that because he was fired.
Yeah.
And they said that Sylvester McCoy's Doctor, he was going to be a reincarnation of another Time Lord god, but they never followed through with that. But now Chibnall's gone, you know what? I'm going to take everything that didn't work in the classic and I'm going to try to make it work now. But also him saying that regenerations are the foundation of Time Lord society is not... No, the whole point of Time Lords is time travel. That's their whole foundation. It's nothing to do with... Regeneration was just something that came later because of Rassilon's obsession with immortality. It was the time travel is what... They're not called the Regenerating Lords, they're called the Time Lords.
No, I do agree.
Have you guys seen Shada?
What's that, Nick?
Have you guys seen the movie, the Doctor Who film Shada with...
Yeah, Shada. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's my new favorite Doctor Who content.
Wow. Okay, cool.
I'm also very new to Doctor Who, so let me give you like a year and I'll be able to...
Yeah, catch up. Dr. Mad Studio says, I've lost interest in Doctor Who a long time ago, pretty much retired from it completely. What, out of interest, where was it that you lost interest? Which Doctor? Who was playing the Doctor, or what year, or whatever? That'd be the interesting thing. For me, Doctor Who, basically in the middle of the Matt Smith era, started going downhill. And Peter Capaldi, there was still some good stuff, but they started making things too confusing with the storylines being too much for the ultra fans to spot little details and that. Like, each episode wasn't like its own event sort of thing. Earlier we were talking about whether something is a ongoing storyline or a monster of the week. I think Doctor Who is better as monster of the week. And what they... And obviously the classic series would be like 4 episodes or 2 episodes or 5 episodes as a serial. But they were short, they were like half an hour episodes, and you'd get 3 or 4 episodes that would tell a story, and then it would move on to the next. Whereas in the Peter Capaldi era or the Matt Smith era, it became like, well, all 12 episodes, there will be an element of Monster of the Week, but it's mostly just you have to follow every little hint that was said. Whereas in the Russell T Davies era, it'd be literally the first season, you thought it was Monster of the Week, but then towards the end, you were something like, oh wait, there was a connection between them all, but it didn't mean that you had to break your neck to pay attention to it, and that was the sweet spot. It was Peter Capaldi's era. The last new series Who episode I watched was Hellbent. Well, there you go.
Yeah, I'm with what was whoever that was.
Dr. Mad Studio.
Dr. Mad Studio. I agree with you. After that after Capaldi's second series, I thought, they've just done a 180 on Capaldi's character. He had a conflicted character in his first run, but then as soon as his second season came around, Stephen Moffat just returned to type and just made him goofy and quirky. The moment he rolled out in a tank playing the electric guitar, I just thought, he's just taking a backward step. He's not, stick to what you had. You had a really good idea for a conflicted Doctor, and you just decided, you know what, I'm going to ignore that, and I'm just going to do this now.
All right. Hey, Dave Lasansky, I have a controversial question.
Go for it.
Who is your favorite Doctor and why?
Okay, so that's not controversial for me. It might be controversial, my answer. I think, genuinely, despite what I've just said, the era of Doctor Who which I enjoyed the most was between the David Tennant and Matt Smith eras, and I'd lean that I liked the characterization that Matt Smith gave to it. I like the first season of Matt Smith has got some really good episodes in. Some of my favourite episodes are in the David Tennant era, but I feel like as that progressed, it got better and better. And the first season of Matt Smith, I really liked everything. I liked the companion dynamic with Amy, and then they brought in Rory. I like most of the episodes of his first season. It went slightly downhill thereafter, but for me, I'd say Matt Smith. Cap.
I would say the only thing I didn't actually, I don't know the history of Doctor Who and stuff like that, so the first only episode I saw was The Weeping Angels with Dr. Tennant, with David Tennant. And after that, I wanted to see more Angels. So the other appearance was in Matt Smith's one. So I was like, okay, let's see that. And I hated it.
What?
They were not great. They were not the horror, intense.
Do you know what? I will say. Yeah, I will say. And Dave, you give me your thoughts, because you'll know this probably as well as me for Doctor Who fandom here. In Doctor Who Flux with Jodie Whittaker, the Weeping Angel storyline that they had like one episode. Do you remember it? Like the one that was the only good episode of Jodie Whittaker's pretty much her entire run. And that's because they actually made the Weeping Angels a threat again. They genuinely were like, they had a character who's like, stand here and don't blink, and it's like, how can you do that? And people are trying to find a solution around it, and they made them a genuine threat. Whereas a little bit in the Matt Smith era, I like the first time they brought the Angels back. But then it was like the Statue of Liberty is an angel, and it was just a bit dumb.
Yeah, that was completely. That was again. That was. I think that was when Moffat was like balancing between. He was doing Sherlock, he's doing Doctor Who, he's doing all these other things at the same time, and then just putting the Weeping Angel Statue of Liberty. I couldn't help but laugh. My brother, who was watching with me, he was like, "Oh, that's terrifying," and me, I'm just in the corner laughing because it's just like, why?
How did it get there unseen?
It's like Ghostbusters. The Ghostbusters can get away with a moving Statue of Liberty. How can Doctor Who do this?
Yeah. Okay, hang on. Here's an interesting thing from Dr. Mad Studio. There are a couple of comments here, but the last one is particularly interesting. So they say, I stopped watching Doctor because of various factors, from a clash of personalities from both behind the scenes and the fandom, to the show suffering with an identity crisis. I don't disagree with that, just as what's written there. I never really grew up I never really grew up Doctor Who as a child anyway. I think I know what you mean, but I didn't quite read it properly. Didn't get into the show until 2005 when it was brought back. Was about 12 by then. Oh my god, I was definitely older than that. Right. And then it says, I should also mention I was once involved with BBV Productions. Don't know if any of you guys heard of them. They made a lot of unofficial Doctor Who spin-off stuff and audio dramas. Yeah, definitely. They're the ones that like made, was it like, what did they call like The Professor when it was like Colin Baker and stuff like that? And they'd just do a storyline with Sarah Jane or whatever. Do you not know this, Dave?
I don't know that.
Oh my god, there's this whole...
How am I only now hearing about
Yeah,
this?
there is like a bunch of Doctor Who stories that are completely unofficial. The most, and I'll tell you this, like I get, probably me and you are the only Doctor Who guys here, so we can bring it back onto other stuff.
No,
But
it's kind of interesting.
okay,
It's
but
interesting.
here's the most interesting one. Whether this was specifically BBV or if other companies did it as well. There was an episode of Doctor Who unofficially made from in between about 1993 until about 2018 or something like this. Literally, it took them 30 years or something to make this story. But here's the really interesting thing about it. The story is set about an interim Doctor in between Patrick Troughton having a forced change of appearance and falling out of the TARDIS as John Pertwee. And they actually got John Pertwee to film a scene where this interim Doctor meets John Pertwee and sort of hands over becoming the Doctor, which leads into him falling out the TARDIS. And I think there is a Doctor Who DVD, I couldn't tell you which one off the top of my head, where they actually released clips of this because they were like, this was like 10 or 15 years after John Pertwee had died. They were like, well, there's kind of like this unofficial missing John Pertwee footage of him absolutely playing the Doctor, and so that's out there, and they like eventually I think they have finished it now. But then there's all these other ones where they have like Colin Baker and he's like the Traveller or the Professor or something like this, and it's all these stories where they have like Sarah Jane in it and stuff like this, and it's effectively Doctor Who, but they just can't quite use the name. And let's have a look at this. Most of what I did for them was updated cover artwork of their past audio dramas. That's still cool. Main goal is to work on audios of my own, but it never happened due to complications with Bill Baggs. I'll be honest, I don't know who that is off the top of my head. I won't read this next bit out because you know it's fine. Like you have your story. I won't read until I know who Bill Baggs is. I don't want to like drag them at all.
You know Bill Baggs.
Who is Bill Bagg?
He went on an adventure with several dwarfs and then to fight a dragon in a mountain.
Oh yeah, Bill Baggins.
Sam Gam.
Oh wow, it gets quite spicy in the comments here. I won't read this out. But let's have a look here.
I want to see this.
Just read the comments later. Many people from Doctor Who still hold a grudge, such as Colin Baker. Okay, this is just me reading the comments. I don't actually know about it. Oh, it says Bill Baggs is the founder of BBV. Oh wow, how interesting this is. Like, whoever you are, Dr. Mad Studio, like, get in touch. Like, if you want to come on the show and lay out all the dirt, then you know, perhaps we should do that.
I'll send you a link.
Yeah, I'll send a link. Not tonight, because we've only got like a few minutes left. Okay, guys, let's move on a tiny bit from Doctor Who. Is there anything else people have seen that they want to react to, or we can keep talking, or we can play a game? What do you want to do? Anything else people need to? Yeah, go for it.
I saw the Dune trailer.
The Dune?
The Dune 2 trailer.
How was it?
I'm looking forward to it. I like Frank Herbert's, you know, giant essay on how, you know, populism and religion can lead to some pretty dangerous outcomes. But I'm just, you know, Dune is kind of
I couldn't hear the first word.
Oh, yeah. So I'm just looking forward to watching, what's the director's name again? It's like
Dune.
Hard to pronounce. Of the new Dune movies.
Denis Villeneuve.
Gesundheit.
Yes. Like I'm looking forward to his visual take on Dune, and you know the first movie was pretty good. I like that they integrated like knives into it, like the book had, because I think the 1980s version they just instead went for sound guns because it was cheaper, I think. So it looks interesting. I don't know how much of a...
that one was pretty cool because like most of the things like Star Wars, right, kind of get into late in the shootout and not float twice. I kind of like the interesting way they did it is that like they have a shield where there's like kinetic objects that's coming in at a faster rate cannot penetrate you if you're wearing that shield. So close quarter weapons like knives that are moving very slowly can actually penetrate and kill you. Which is a very interesting way to explain to put melee combat in a very, futuristic setting.
Agreed. I think it.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, but
I wanted to ask, is it worth me watching Dune?
Yes. I think you should watch the first movie. Definitely.
I say no.
I'd say no.
No. 2 yeses.
But I'd say no. I tried watching the first 20 minutes twice and I couldn't get into it. But that might be a me problem.
No offense to Tim, but I found the first one to be interminably dull, and the filters they use desaturate the thing of color, and it was just boring. It was boring. And you're talking to someone who's read the book.
I haven't read the book yet.
So regardless of how weird and strange David Lynch's version is, I think I still prefer it to the new one.
can we give Buddy a point for saying interminably?
Yeah, it's a tough word to say. Right, Marty, you get a bonus point. I'm willing to go along with that idea. Okay, look, I'm trying to look to see if there's any breaking news or anything. I don't think there particularly is. One interesting story, I don't know if you know of this one at all, but Smallville actress Alison Mack has been released from prison. So.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, she's been released.
Yes. So she went to jail a couple years ago for being a cult leader.
Yeah, isn't that so weird?
No way!
Yeah.
A lieutenant in a cult or something, and she was basically bringing some dude in upstate New York women to have sex with.
Yeah. So there was like some cult or whatever, but like the thing I heard is she was trying to get other people from Smallville because of their celebrity. Be like, hey, yeah, come along to these meetings and recruit people and stuff like this.
So like the Scientology.
It wasn't Ezra Miller, was it?
Imagine, that in that multiverse. Oh my God! Someone needs to do an edit of the Flash film where he goes into a multiverse and then he's there with Chloe from Smallville, and he's like, "Will you come with me?" And she's like, "You should come and join us."
You're throwing Jared Leto's cult too.
And then Jared Leto's Joker is there. Yes. Okay,
DC, the cult.
The cult. Oh my God, this is amazing.
Yes.
Wow.
We talk about unfortunate events.
Yeah.
Or casting.
It's like, I just don't know how this stuff happens. Like, how can you be like that famous or rich or whatever? And you're like, do you know what? I'm going to throw my life away in a cult. But
I mean, I think that loneliness plays a factor in a lot of bad decisions. People. And I'm not going into the depths of the decision-making path that someone has to get to, joining a sex cult, but you gotta have healthy. You gotta surround yourself with healthier relationships and people who are willing to disagree with you.
Yeah.
And I think Tyson said about this as well. This is more of an athlete's thing that he would say that the party has to come to an end. You have to put the party to an end, or it will come to an end on its own, and you won't like it.
Wait, Mike Tyson was involved.
Mike Tyson said this about being the celebrities.
Like he doesn't need to convince you to join a cult. He just needs to be like, join my cult now, please.
My favorite Mike Tyson quote is that every plan is a good plan until you get punched in the face.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That happened to me once.
I mean, I've been slapped in the back of the head. Does that count?
Yes.
How?
No, that works. It's destabilizing. Your brain's like, what just happened?
Exactly.
If you say so, Tim. If you say so.
I think so. I've gotten a couple of good whacks in the back of the head, and all of a sudden I'm like, I'm not funny anymore. So normally it came with a warning.
Okay. Any other business? Any other breaking news? Going once.
Breaking.
No.
Breaking.
Go on.
Well, Well, I did see a few things where it's saying like Indiana Jones is actually saying it's successful in the theaters. I'm not really sure how true that is,
It's
but
not
claiming
true.
it as.
It's not true. It's actually not making. It will not break even. And and from what I've seen, Kathleen Kennedy is now out because of that.
I heard
Really?
that actually. I heard
Yeah,
that.
Kathleen Kennedy is now blacklisted by most Hollywood studios that she was going to go to. Warner Brothers is now the latest because she wanted to go over there to do a Catwoman series with Warner Brothers. They've now said, no, we don't want you over here.
I can't believe that she's like, oh well, you know, I've got to find a new job somewhere. Like if you're that like far in, 'cause she's not going to be young either. She's not like, why would she go and try and be somewhere else?
Well, I mean, this is not a subject to bring up right now, but I think movie theaters are in trouble.
Great.
I think it is a subject to bring up right now.
And I mean, I don't want to go. To be honest, I mean, unless there's a movie I really want to see, and I'm willing to ignore the reviews, I'm not going to go to a theater.
Like, I'm the same way. I went to see The Machine, even though one of the reviews I read was, this is the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. I'm like, I just happen to really like Burt Kreischer, which is why I went to see The Machine. And when I walked into the movie theater, I realized, holy shit, I'm the only person that's here.
Wow.
Great, I'm going to take off my shoes and just enjoy this movie.
I'm just going to take off my pants. I'm going to take off everything. Relax back.
So glad I brought my bathrobe with me.
Yeah.
My wife was looking online yesterday because she was like, maybe we should go to a movie. And the theater that we usually go to closed in early June.
Wow.
The reason we like to go there is because there was never anybody there. And we're very shocked that they didn't keep our personal theater open for us.
Yeah.
They should have let you know, Marty. That is like disrespectful. It's disgusting.
Yeah. You need that
Totally
closure.
against the business.
It's just wrong, what it is.
Cap.
It's also the fact that movies gotten actually really expensive, and maybe it's not even worth that much expense because they're not very good, and I'm not really sure how, like, take Wings, I mean, that's a TV show, way too much money, and you get relatively basic or even worse, and Indiana Jones from Dave reviews is also very bad, but tremendous a lot of money. But when you think about right now, that's why, like, action movies are actually making good money. Think about John Wick, which had a very, I mean, like, now the ones have big budgets, but the first one didn't have that much of a budget. They didn't even want to actually do it, and it got actually very interesting. They had to work with a very short amount of money. They actually did a good thing. And right now, Extraction in Netflix, Chris Hemsworth's action movies as well. Again, action movies, the budgets are very, I think they did it on 58 million or something like that, the Extraction 2. And again, the action things and the stuff they did, like, they look way better than the CGI mess that we're mostly seeing right now.
I mean, you can the human eye can tell when it's CGI, so it automatically sort of just like, I don't know, cheapens it visually.
Yeah, but again, the good CGI, we bought it for most of the superhero films. We liked it when it was good, but then after a while, it became pointless even in the story, and every sort of flaw started to appear in our faces.
Yeah, like Ant-Man Quantumania, I thought I liked the movie, but it just felt like, oh, are they all acting in a green screen? Like,
Yeah.
That feels kind of farty. Like, the first Transformers, when you couldn't see any of the Transformers actually fighting. You know, they're just like, it looks like a one giant blur. That's good CGI when I know that robots, I can see robots, like, fighting each other. That's decent CGI to me.
Dave?
I was going to say that, I'll put this to everybody. Do you think that the reason that people aren't going to the movies as much as they are is because most of the movies that are being put out lack heart? There's nothing put into them. You know, they're making them for the sake of them being made, as opposed to, let's tell a good story. You know, I can't believe I'm going to say this. I have a feeling the Barbie movie is going to do better than Indiana Jones.
No way.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
Wait, are you saying the Barbie movie has heart?
I'm saying the Barbie is an original-ish movie.
I mean, it's got Ryan Gosling and who else?
Margot Robbie, is it?
Yeah. I think that they could have made two serious decisions, but you know, this script might seem like something I could want to do. It might have heart. It's all plastic anyways, so
honestly,
I think CGI is perfect.
It'll be all plastic and it'll be fantastic. But
Yes!
Beautiful.
but going
you ever
back to
think that-
what Dave was saying, yes, I agree with that statement wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I think that movies have lost its heart.
Yeah, like the last movie I went to see in the movie theater was A Man Called Otto, the Tom Hanks movie. That movie was brilliant, so much fun for a whole bunch of different reasons. But I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Okay, Martin, then we'll come to Gerald.
We're just at a point. We've got to start thinking. Well, we have nothing to do with it, but Hollywood needs to start thinking about the fact that we are never, if we stay where we are now, or don't move away from where we are right now, we are never going to get another Godfather. We are never going to get another. I mean, name a brilliant movie, Shawshank Redemption. We are never going to get any great. I mean, I love an action movie just as well as the next guy, and but I want to see a good one. Like Dave said, I want it to have heart. But all of these movies that aren't action movies, that are brilliant and that are masterpieces, that we are never ever ever going to get again unless something changes.
I agree with that.
So
Basically, it comes down. Basically, it is coming down to money, dollars and cents. In action movies make money. Just like for years now, and that's the sad thing is like that's why you see all these reiterations and reimaginings and everything like David had spoke about earlier with Halloween and all these other things, because they don't have a lot of those original ideas coming out because there's so much risk involved with it. Whereas they're like, okay, Indiana Jones, everybody knows that, so they're going to go watch this just because they remember the old Indiana Jones until it comes out and a lot of people say it's garbage, and then they're like, oh crap, how did we lose $100 million or whatever on this movie? And it's like sadly it's down to the economics of it, which is bad.
One of the things on this is that, like, Indiana Jones, if they were going to make another one, Harrison Ford, it was now or never. When it comes to some of these things, like Hugh Jackman coming back as Wolverine, is basically now or never. And there's certain things where it's like, well, they've got to do it now or it's not going to happen. But in, like, 5 years' time, they're going to suddenly be like, well, do we, like, I know there's going to be the TV series, it's like, well, do we try to make Harry Potter and the Cursed Child with the original cast, because it will be now or never? Do we, like, can we make, like, a new, what was it, I can't remember, like, Divergent, or Insurgent, or Dysentery, whatever it was called, like, because either they do it then, now or never, or, like, do we bring back Twilight, because it's now or never sort of thing? And it was going to be, like, the things that they're going to have to make those decisions on are things that are relatively new, like Ghostbusters at the moment. It's like, if we're bringing back Bill Murray, it's now or never. And soon they're going to run out where it's like, well, we can't do that anymore. It'll have to be a hard reboot. Either these things will get accepted or they won't. And some of them will, like Batman probably will keep getting accepted, but a lot of them won't, like how the reboot of Ghostbusters didn't. And then the new one, we'll see if it does or not, but that's going to go away soon, and then it'll either be reboot Ghostbusters again, or it doesn't happen. And once a lot of these doors close, then they're going to have to come up with something new. They won't have a choice. Cap.
Are they doing
Oh, no, go ahead.
Hawaiian?
Sorry?
Are they going to do Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian? They've only been talking about that for 30 years.
There is a Beetlejuice sequel coming out.
Yeah. Look, I'm still waiting for Goonies too. For God's sakes. Just do it already. Right, Cap, you were going to say.
Here's the thing, though. When the Little Mermaid new remake was about to come out, the guy who did the live-action Aladdin actually came out and said that this movie's not going to make as much money as Aladdin did. Aladdin still, I think it was bad. The remake was bad, but it made $1 billion. And for him, it said it was a different time. People were not used to it. and I think they're catching up, and it probably won't make as money as it, and it didn't. And also, I would say even some original, I mean, like I won't call them super original ideas, like action movies, cartoon movies tend to make a lot of money. But recently, Pixar, one of the biggest blockbusters when it comes to animated movies, like drinking. And there are several Disney properties. I mean, like in the last 5 years, there's not that high much of a memorable Disney movie. But like every decade, we had a Disney movie that's like still. Think about Frozen when it came out. It was so big.
The last two animated movies that have just come out both flopped.
Which one?
Which one?
Elemental
Green
and
Lantern,
Ruby Gilman.
Yeah, but like Super Mario Brothers movie did really well this year. Across the Spider-Verse did really well.
And Puss in Boots did well too. None of them are Disney. Disney is not taking. I mean, like anything to that moment.
I'll come to Tim in a second because I see that the little hand thing has come up in the corner. But what I was going to say, and I've said this before, like Disney and in particular Pixar, they've got their heads so far up their butts nowadays. Like every film has to be some really weird concept. Like when it was first like, oh, they're making toys that can talk. Now they're going to make something about ants. Then they'll make something about fish. Then it was like, we'll have superheroes and all these are normal enough. Talking cars, you're like, fair enough. But then it's like, well, one's if there's little creatures that live inside your brain that are your different emotions. And now it's like, how can we... They've run out so low on ideas. They're like, we already had talking emotions. How about the different elements of a different personality? It's just the attacks. It's like a weird thing. And it's like, when they did Soul or whatever it was like, there's these little things that are the unborn potential children. It's like, these are getting too complicated. This isn't a kid's film anymore. Just make something with a talking cat and a talking dog going to war with each other. That's what we need. Dave.
I like Soul.
Oh, no, Tim. Sorry, Tim.
I like Soul, and I thought it was pretty good. But I think Cap brought up a good point. Is like it's a different time. Is like we are in a very different creative space where streaming has sort of taken away the necessity to put big screen movies on the big screen. So you're going to see, studios have changed their creative methods. We're also in post Me Too and Harvey Weinstein. So there's like creative structures and frameworks that need to be developed that foster appropriate, and representative creativity amongst a lot of different people, not just, a majority that doesn't represent everyone, So I think that we're looking at different ways like, oh, that's not going to make money, but you're passionate about it. Still, we're not gonna do that. I think you need to give the opportunity and maybe like a low to mid-sized like big screen budget to creators who are new and give them the chance to make their case. I think you've got a lot of good examples and opportunities out there if we did it.
And stay out of their ways.
Alternatively.
Exactly.
Whoa, it's Tim! Right. Wow. Okay, Marty.
I was just going to say, I want the job. I seriously do. They don't have to pay me a decent amount of money.
I'll have his check.
But I want the job of just put me in a room with a desk, and everyone who's going to make a movie has to come, and it has to go through me. And I will tell you whether it's good. Like, for example, should we make a new Indiana Jones movie? No. Is Steven Spielberg going to direct it? No. Yes. And my answer is no immediately.
Yeah.
Some of this is just, and like, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. And it's like, like they were, like you're just saying, Indiana Jones, they made a fifth movie when they shouldn't have. And now Kathleen Kennedy's out on her butt because someone always has to be the fall guy. It's just
okay. Dave, you've had your hand up a while, so we'll come to you now.
Greed is killing the world.
Dave.
Greed is killing the world.
I hate backtracking, but I am going to. What you were
Doctor
saying
Who.
A tiny bit. So, like you were saying, like, is it too late? Let's do this while we can. You're saying, Bill Murray come back in the Ghostbusters movie. Have Let's bring Arnold back as the Terminator for another movie. Let's have David Tennant come back as the Doctor again. It's like, yeah, you can do that, but if the story is boring, then no one is gonna, people talk like this, as before with like movies and that, they never really had the internet. All you had was word of mouth. So if let's say the Shawshank Redemption was an awful movie, then everyone would tell their friends and so on and so forth that the movie's bad, so no one would go and see it. But now we've got the internet, so now everybody's focusing on, Rotten Tomatoes and all these review websites, so they're seeing that these movies are bad, and then, and you have cases like with the actors, like that Cat was saying with Aladdin, saying that, yeah, this isn't going to work. And like, it's like everybody else can see that, yeah, this is not working, you shouldn't make movies like that, it's not going to work. But and what they were saying, they've got their heads up their asses. They're all doing what they want to do, but as opposed to saying, right, what would our audiences want to see?
Well, yeah, and again, it's a little bit that, like in the case of like Pixar, is that they're trying to be like super creative. Like, I love the short film they made about like the two umbrellas that are in love. But imagine if I tried to pitch that to Marty, he'd be like, "What? We've got two umbrellas. They're in love with each other." Here's another one. There are two volcanoes. There are two volcanoes, and they're in love, but they can't see each other. What's that?
No.
Right, yeah.
No to a 90-minute movie, yes to a short.
Okay, Nick.
Just to cut us before interrupting, guys. To the fact that you guys said that, I would say, like, yes. I think Soul was also, like Tim said, is a great movie, but again, I think too much of the creative stuff is, I always for it, but you're losing the entertainment part. Soul made me sleep. Inside Out didn't. It still made me, entertained.
Well, at least they had a clown in it. No, I didn't. I think Soul is a good film. I don't think it's a kids' movie because it's too complicated. Like the concept of every Pixar film.
It's not bad, but make it entertaining. Again, the Cat with the Puss in Boots had a very complex story about death, like facing mortality to kids, telling that. But they made an entertaining movie.
Yeah, Puss in Boots was overrated. I'm sorry, Cap. Right, Nick.
No!
No, my point is this. Has anyone here seen the 1991 Michael J. Fox classic, Doc Hollywood?
Yes.
That movie is basically Cars. If you think about it, it's the same exact story beats, the exact same plot line.
Wait, Lightning McQueen is a new doctor in town, and like he has to pee on someone's foot or something.
Yeah. There's a whole video I think I saw about that, and I'm like, holy shit, that makes sense.
I think that we should do like a thing each week where we have to justify where any random movie is actually a remake of Doc Hollywood. Okay, Gerald, you were going to say?
Well, I think one of the things is it's sort of that groupthink mentality. If you look at business of Wall Street, you had Silicon Valley Bank that got destroyed and fell apart. Why? Because they were looking at, well, interest rates have always been low, so we're going to lock in at a low rate. All of a sudden, interest rates bumped up. They couldn't adjust fast enough. And the same thing is with the movie industry. You have, okay, hey, Indiana Jones, everybody knows that name. Well, yeah, if you're all of this similar age or a little bit older, but if you're younger, again, like what Cap is saying and stuff, is you have to make it entertaining. You have to have a story. You have to have a hook, not just rehashing the same old thing of, because it's got the name and that name recognition, that's what's pulling it through. And I think it's sort of a challenge also in like the business environment in general, where the next generation is very different than the generations of the past, and you see a lot of people, like Back to the Office and some of these other things, where the establishment wants to sort of hold on to what it's always been and not want to change with it, whereas stuff's changing around it. And it's like, it'll be interesting to see how flexible, who changes and who succeeds and who fails. ESPN has been firing people left and right. They're part of the Disney conglomeration. And you have this where, again, you have basically that greed factor. That is, we got to make money, and they sort of throw everything else aside because they're like, okay, let's just throw a couple $100 million to this movie because we know the names. Harrison Ford is a well-known name, Indiana Jones is a well-known name, so it's going to make money without actually thinking through the steps of it. And is it a rehashing of the same old story, or what is the hook that makes it successful and makes it different?
Yeah, no, I do agree. Marty. We're running low on time, just so we'll come to this point and
I
maybe
know,
one or
but
two others.
David, I just wanted to let you know that I will greenlight your umbrella project.
Yes.
If, as a 90-minute movie, if we turn it into Cinderella, except her name is Umbrella, and Rihanna does the soundtrack.
Yeah, no, deal. Let's do it.
I'll
Let's do
throw
it.
$50 in. I'll throw $50 in. Canadian.
Yeah, a Canadian. Yeah, need it. Right. Okay. So, anything burning that people need to get out?
No, I already took care of that.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I went to the bathroom before the show.
My pizza is currently charged.
Yeah, Marty, you got the joke.
Right. Okay. So. Let's find out where we can find everyone on social media. Marty, it turns out you're this week's Geek of the Week, and I can't even think how that happened. But well done, Marty.
I don't
well
either. I missed half the show.
Like, literally, yeah, we did like an intro round. We never got to another game round. It sometimes happens. It's fine. Capelthave, where can the people find you? And in our outro round, if you have a geek recommendation for this week, tell people what they can check out.
My outro, I will save that to the end, but you can check me out on Sorties, where you can sing, where I sing, I dance, I throw myself in a bucket, and I work with puppets. And recently, a new show series has launched. What If Aladdin had a YouTube channel. Part 1 is already out, Part 2 will be next week, so go check me out there. And also, you can check me out here on numerous shows. My recommendation for this week, I probably would recommend it already, but I'm going to do it anyway. Watch TMNT 2012. After the 2003 version, I think this is the best reiteration of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where Splinter actually does have a really big role, unlike in the other stories, so I would recommend this. So go on.
Okay, awesome. Tim, where can the people find you?
You can find me in my car outside of my house, occasionally, or in my office. And in Warwick, Rhode Island, with Bring Your Own Improv every Friday. We have shows every Friday where you can volunteer for short form games if you're interested. It's a lot of fun. Any recommendations? George Howell Coffee in Newton, Mass. It's pretty darn good. You can find it in a lot of different places, but damn, that's good.
Okay, Nick, where can the people find you?
I can be found on Twitter at NSTED. I can also be found doing the Cartoonia Jams on Tuesday nights and I can also be found on some other jam which name is seriously right now, unfortunately. My recommendation for the week is play the PS4/PS5 game TMNT Rise of the Shredder. It is fantastic.
It is, yeah, I can confirm that one. Okay, Dave, where can the people find you?
You can find me on my Instagram, DaveMC1993, and check out my YouTube channel, DaveMC, where I upload Star Wars The Old Republic gaming videos. The Imperial Agent Saga is still going on. Every Saturday a new episode goes up. You can catch me here on Geek Battle, if and when, and you can see me on Extreme Improv as well, being my annoying self.
Awesome stuff. Gerald, where can the people find you?
Here and only here, but make sure to check out these other guys and their socials and stuff that they've given you. I recommend something that I believe stood the test of time. Go back and watch the old Twilight Zones. And when I say old, I mean the black and white Twilight Zones. I've started watching them again, and it's like, I mean, those stories still work today, so go do it.
Yeah, I'll just add to that. Like, they're awesome. They don't put them on the UK Netflix. And, like, years ago, I was watching all of them, and then Netflix changed it so they was, like, geo-locked. And no matter what VPN I used, I could never get it to work. But, yeah, they're cool. For me, before we come to our winner today, my name is David Pistansky. You can check me out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all that other jazz at David Pistansky, spelled Pustansky. You can also get multiple books I've written. Extreme Improv, Big Book of Improv Games, The Improviser's Guide to, I forget what it was called. What was that book called, Gerald?
Guide to the Galaxy.
No, what was it called?
Virtual Theatre?
No, Guide to Virtual Theatre. What's the other one, Gerald? Literally, you had it earlier.
Oh.
Bucket list.
Bucket list! Jesus Christ. Right, what a life I live. Right, but here's the thing. Do go over, so check out the Geek Battle game, Gaming YouTube channel as well, but the Geek Battle YouTube channel. But check out Geek Battle Gaming YouTube channel. Literally up to 399 subscribers. You can be the 400th subscriber. YouTube.com/@GeekBattleGaming. Loads of gaming reviews and documentaries on there, including the one that's just gone up about why the most powerful games consoles always lose the console wars. Marty, our Geek of the Week, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at WhatWoulDJesusBlue. And my recommendation for the week is to tune out. Turn off your devices. Turn off your televisions. Turn off your video games. Go find a comic book and read an actual comic book. I think you'll find that it will be a very rewarding experience.
Absolutely, but don't do it until after tonight's show of Extreme Improv Extremed, which will be on in just a few minutes. So from me, from everyone else, stay safe, always stay extremed. Ciao for now.